go.
All right.
You look so happy. I saw the photos from the team getting off the plane. It's one thing to make the trip and be on the sideline and be a supportive teammate for your fellow warriors out there. But it's another thing to know that you're flying out and there's some cleats and some pads and a helmet waiting for you, and you're going to be suited up with your boys for the first time in nearly a year. So really excited that Scoot's back in the fold, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, let's just jump into it, Jake, if you want to, man. Have you heard the news yet, sir? Have you heard the good news?
I have heard the news. I have.
All right. Here we go. Tom Silverstein put a tweet out. The Packers have activated wide receiver Christian Watson off reserve / physically unable to perform. They also elevated defensive lineman Aaron Mosby from the practice squad to the active roster for game day, but they released tight end Ben Sims. So, listen, I like Ben Sims. Maybe he'll be back. Maybe this is just temporary. But I want to point this out. As Rob Domofsky said down here toward the bottom on a reply or a later tweet, the Packers are releasing tight end Ben Sims per source. That likely means they're activating Christian Watson, which they did, and keeping 2 kickers for at least another week. So I like Ben Sims, but if you made me choose, keep Ben Sims, who's going to probably ride the pine because Fitzpatrick has obviously passed him up on the depth chart, or keep Havrasek as an insurance policy at kicker. I'm going with Havrasek. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but nonetheless, Christian Watson back. I am over the moon about this. Jacob, what's your take on it, man? How you feeling about it?
Yeah, it almost feels a little surreal. When he had that injury, it felt, I was kind of doom and gloom about the situation. Luckily, Christian did not take it that way. He kind of seemed like he dug deep, found whatever kind of grit that it takes to become an NFL player. And then to Tim's point, that feeling of he must have of being back, actually being able to suit up with the guys, not just being a spectator on the sidelines. And to his credit, you've seen guys that have been hurt and kind of just focus on themselves, their own rehab. Christian was in the facility, talking guys, the wide receiver room, being on the sidelines, going out, encouraging his guys. The fact that he was even able to just do slow jogs months and months ago, I thought, oh my God, is this guy actually going to be back? If you would have told me that he's going to be back for the Steelers game at the beginning of the year, I would have been excited. I probably would have thought you're a liar. In that aspect, it is really, really nice to have a guy of his caliber back in the fold. Hopefully we'll have some other guys that end up being on the better side of the questionable designation there, because if it does, man, it'll be a different Packer team that we haven't seen all year. And I don't know what the necessarily latest news on Golden, but even if he's not healthy this week, and if they both don't give it a go, at some point, knock on wood, we're going to see these two absolute weapons on the field together, and just watching DBs and D coordinators' minds just explode, figuring out, well, who the hell are we going to follow?
It's so true. Like, we were not that far off from talking about, hey, maybe we can get Christian Watson back, before Thanksgiving or by Thanksgiving, heading into Detroit to play the Lions. And here we are going into Sunday Night Football tomorrow night, and Scoot is back. So I think he's ahead of schedule. I don't think he's ever stopped grinding. This is awesome.
Yeah. And, it's funny you mentioned, like, will we have Golden and Scoot on the field at the same time? The way I see Christian Watson, he can play any position in this offense. He knows this offense better than any other wide receiver on the team. There's no two ways about it, right? So he can play X, although I feel like he's most effective at Z and at F, right? And when we say F, we mean slot in Matt LaFleur's offense. So the fact that he can play both of those, if Matthew Golden does miss this game, I think you'll see a little more Savion Williams, because obviously Dontavion Wicks is out, from what I understand. I'm pretty sure he was ruled out. Let me make sure there. I don't want to tell you guys wrong.
I thought he was.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely out.
Him and Albion.
So now what you got to ask yourself is, do you press into 12 personnel for this game? Or when you do March 11 out there, to me, it feels like Christian Watson, even if he's on a pitch count, he may be playing F, and they may be looking to put Savion out there at Z a little bit. Although Savion, here's the problem I have with a rookie in Savion Williams, who's gotten limited reps during the regular season, playing the F. The F, those choice routes that are attached to Matt LaFleur's offense that we all know, you'll hear us say it in Chalk Talk all the time. I'll lay out the result of the play of what they ended up running, but it doesn't necessarily mean there wasn't a choice route attached, right? So when you're in that F spot and you're constantly moving across the formation, you've got to be able to understand those choice routes at a whole different level. So that makes me a little bit hesitant on saying Savion will be there, but we do know Christian Watson would understand all the choice routes in the F position. However, you probably want him on a pitch count, So let's hope Golden plays. If he doesn't, we may be pressing into 12. Although you let Ben Sims go, that kind of makes me step back and go, okay, maybe this is an 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver set heavy approach here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And maybe it means using Savion a little bit more, as your tight end type of body, even though you only have one tight end on the field. You can get a little heavier without necessarily going to 12 personnel. But, clearly they've made the decision that it's Fitzpatrick, Musgrave, and Tuck Norris. Those are your tight ends. And honestly, 12 personnel sets with any of those guys, I feel good about that. The grouping of talent we have in that tight end room where it stands now, I'm not afraid to press into a little bit of 12 here and there. Or that heavy 11 look, I guess you could say. But you're right. If MG's not good to go, we have to look at, how much we're going to put on Savion Williams' plate offensively, being that he's so, helpful in the return game. And there's other aspects, special teams and those kind of things. So running him out there into the fire, I don't know. But I feel good about our tight end room, even though Big Ben's gone, at least for the time being. I think it makes sense.
Do you think that if Golden's a no-go, Christian's on a heavy snap count, possibly even really limited, if at all, would you look at a guy like Savion to step in and get up the majority of those reps, or would you lean more on somebody that's a little more steady Eddie, tried and true, like a Malik Heath?
That's a great
I'm gonna go with my dog Malik Heath.
Yeah, I just love Malik Heath.
I don't want to overlook Savion Williams because he's a dog too, and he's only going to get better with the more reps he get. I mean, we're a couple years removed from saying the same thing about Malik Heath, right? Oh, we got to get him more touches, get him more snaps. Yeah, it's true. That's a great question, Jacob. What do you think?
I kind of feel like you guys may disagree. I'll get your take on this. I kind of feel like Savion and Malik Heath are at the same level right now. And Malik Heath has done, with his opportunities, his limited opportunities, he has maximized them, no doubt. Yeah. But what we've seen out of Savion this year, I don't remember seeing him drop a pass. I don't remember seeing him run a wrong route. Right now, is his stats off the charts? No, but I just don't see him making mental mistakes, which is a good sign too. So, and like you were saying, Jacob, essentially what you've got is, 7-8 years ago, we would have been referring to Malik Heath and Savion Williams as what we call slot bullies, right? That was a thing that took over the NFL for a few years, where you would put a huge wide receiver in at the slot so they could get in there and dig the nickel and dig the safety out on these running plays. And both of those guys would be good slot bullies, which kind of goes hand in hand with what you were saying about Savion Williams. I mean, I'm glad you bring that up, Jacob, because I've already I don't want to say I've forgotten about Malik Heath, but he wasn't on the forefront of my mind, that's for sure.
Yeah. I like what Drew D says. I love watching Savion's yak in the middle of the field. Yeah. It seems like between him and Tuck Norris that when those guys get the ball, they're going to get you at least another 5 to 7 yards after they catch. It seems like no matter what. And to your point, Clayton, that's a really good point. I haven't thought about it. I can't remember any sort of mental mistake, any mistake at all from Savion, other than him just coming in there and doing exactly what they asked him to do. A couple of ends arounds maybe that didn't come to fruition, but it wasn't anything that he did. It was maybe the blocking wasn't there. Just the play call was kind of not at the right situation. So I'm excited to see what he can do, man.
Yeah, me too. Anything else you guys got on the Christian Watson news or anything at all, boys?
Did we say we're fired up that Scoot's back? Ahead of expectations?
Yeah.
Ahead of schedule? I love it, man.
There you go. So if you're watching this video back later, let us know in the comments. What do you think about Christian Watson potentially returning tomorrow night? How many snaps would you put him on? We want to hear from you in the comments. Also, which would you rather have on the field if Matthew Golden is out? Would you rather have Malik Heath or Savion Williams filling in that role the majority of the time? There'll be a heavy rotation anyway, but let us know in the comments. We want to know what you think about that. Make sure you hit subscribe and click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. Last comment on this, 204 this says Savion has such a unique role, but he knows it so well. It's so true. And also, I mean, I have so much confidence in Savion as a return guy. Like we haven't seen him get blown up yet. And it's because I think those gunners are going down the field going, I don't want to hit this guy. Look how big this dude is, right? So I think it has a lot to do with it. So,
Absolutely.
All right. Let's jump into the game plan. Y'all ready for this, boys? How about that image right there? Isn't that wild? Jordan
Just
Love.
a couple of goats, you know.
It's going to be awesome, man. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I have dove into the numbers so much today. I've been just watching banger after banger of college football all day long and just diving into the analytics, diving into the tendencies, all that stuff, and getting so ready for this game. It's just going to be an absolute blast. So the game plan over on Patreon. Here we go. We talked about the injury report. Let's hit on it one more time real quick. Just the most important aspect. You've got 5 players on the Packers roster who are listed as questionable. That means a 50% chance of playing. Defensive lineman Devontae Wyatt, wide receiver Christian Watson, kicker Brandon McManus, wide receiver Matthew Golden, and defensive lineman Warren Branson. So keep in mind, even though Christian was activated, it doesn't mean he's going to play tomorrow. We think he is. And based off of his IG story and all the hype around it, I think he will be on the field. I think he'll be suited up. But nonetheless, those are the 5 that you want to keep your eye on. Listen, if Devontae Wyatt goes out there, that's going to be absolutely awesome. I mean, he ramped up all week long. We talked about that. He started limited, I think he did not participate. No, he started limited, and then he went into pads, although it was still technically limited, but he practiced with the pads on the last 2 days, so I think he's tracking for it for sure. Brandon McManus, I don't know. It's hard to tell. You kept Haversick, I think, for an insurance policy, and rightfully so. I think that dude has shown he's a quality kicker, and it's nice to have 2 kickers. Jacob, we went from not having a kicker to having 2 kickers. Pretty damn cool, man.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Matt LaFleur was asked point blank, I believe, yesterday at a press conference, if you have any doubts about McManus, would you go into this game with 2 active kickers? He said, if I'm honest, I don't want to do that, but if I have to do that, it's something we'll take a look at. So I think that some of these moves may show that they are considering it. He did also go on to say, though, that he had McManus actually kicking yesterday, walked up to him and asked how he felt. McManus supposedly said he felt great. So I don't know what to think at this point, if he's just going to be ultra careful and make sure that, like you said, something crazy doesn't happen. We know that we can trust a guy like Haversick, which is crazy to think that, yeah, like you said, we have 2 kickers, both of which we don't even sweat it if they're kicking like 62-yarders. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
You know, maybe it's a scenario where we're able to let McManus come back and just do some place kicking for us, you know, field goals, extra points, and then Haversick just handles kickoff duties if you're going to have them both active. And then you've got an insurance policy. You ease McManus back into it. And if you've got to, you know, bust Haversick back down to the practice squad at some point, it is what it is. But I like the approach of having a backup plan because, you know, you never know. McManus is not getting younger, right? And we all know how it feels when you get up in the morning once you get past, 35 years old or so. It's your healing time takes a little bit longer, so I'm all for it.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. And again, shout out to Carson Caldwell here from the Caldwell Corner. Go give him a follow on all socials. Look for him on IG as well. Dobbs going for 120 plus with a Tud without Wicks and a banged up Golden. Man, and they play a lot of single high looks, right? A lot of cover 3 and a lot of cover 1 man. When they're in that cover 1 man, stretch that 2 out and bring Dobby in at the 1 on the dig. Eat all night long, man. That would be absolutely awesome. So in terms of the injury report for the Steelers, just real quick, the one I've got my eye on is Zach Frazier. He was limited Wednesday, did not participate Thursday, was back limited Fridays, listed as questionable. That's their starting center. So just keep an eye on that. If they're without their starting center, it could get very, very interesting quick. We may be hearing, snap the effing ball, Josh. You know what I'm saying? They might hear that a time or 12.
Especially if Devontae Wyatt's back in the fold, too. That'll be even better. Second or third string center against, our full, as close as we can be to full strength in the middle there. I love it.
Yeah. I like this right here, man. He said, forget the offensive game plan. Let's run 2 kicker sets. Let's get 2 kickers on the field at the same time. I want to see Haversick in the Wildcat package. That's what I want to see.
Oh, man.
Boy. Were you watching Alabama, South Carolina just fall apart just now?
Bro, it's been a wild day.